The special role of the World Economic Forum. It is the place where at the beginning of the year we come together to analyze the state of the world in a systemic and strategic way. The cornerstone of our program leads to uncertainty, generalized fear, and pessimism.
All the countries in the world need to be very careful.
You can work really hard on exclusion lists or inclusion lists.
In the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds.
Spreading disinformation.
We owned the news. We were the gatekeepers. We very much owned the facts as well.
Why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be. Please welcome His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. The rich get richer.
There is no economic growth.
Individual carbon footprint tracker.
Certainly that it was digital, and certainly that it was biometric.
We will have new vaccines.
Combine brainwave activity together with other forms of software and surveillance technology, the power becomes quite precise.
Bring into a new world order. That new world order.
Do you agree with that, or are there ways of what are we able to keep on the positive side from the old order to bring into a new world order, and how can we avoid that that new world order becomes like a jungle growing back, and we rather have an order based on international law and the principles that have brought us prosperity and freedom for decades?
It's time to plan the future. Not their futures, your future.
That order seems to not be the order anymore. We are on the way to a new order, so we are between orders.
A new world order. So what will that look like?
Maybe this is the old kind of teacher in me coming out. I think of this a little bit more about a transition of eras rather than a transition of orders, but the two are kind of cousins of one another. The reason I draw the distinction is because I don't think the international order built after 1945 is getting replaced wholesale with some new order. It will obviously evolve as it has evolved multiple times over the decades since 1945. But I do think in a more sharp and distinctive way, we are moving into a new era, and that's what I talked about in my remarks, that we are, the post-Cold War era has come to a close. We're at the start of something new. We have the capacity to shape what that looks like, and at the heart of it will be many of the core principles and core institutions of the existing order, adapted for the challenges that we face today.
As I mentioned earlier in the show, Argentina's president, Javier Milei, has been warning of the decline of the West at the World Economic Forum at the hands of social justice and collectivism.
Today, I'm here to tell you that the Western world is in danger. And it is endangered because those who are supposed to have to defend the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of the world that inexorably leads to socialism and thereby to poverty. Unfortunately, in recent decades, motivated by some well-meaning individuals willing to help others, and others motivated by the wish to belong to a privileged caste, the main leaders of the Western world have abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism.
So it's no wonder why globalists in Davos are worried about the 2024 election. They think, by the way, a Trump victory is a lock, and they're not happy about it, not one bit. Turns out globalists don't like an America First agenda. The world's plutocracy hasn't forgotten how Trump slapped down tariffs on China and pulled out of the Paris Accords, forced NATO countries to pay their fair share, and went heavy on American energy independence. Trump disrupted the global hegemony. The president of Argentina gave a full-throated speech in support of capitalism and free markets earlier this week in Davos. Yep. I would have loved to hear some of the grumbling in response from Davos after that speech.
Do not be intimidated either by the political class or by parasites who live off the state. Do not surrender to a political class that only wants to stay in power and retain its privileges. Do not surrender to the advance of the state. The state is not the solution. The state is the problem itself. You are the true protagonists of this story. And rest assured that as from today, Argentina is your staunch, unconditional ally. Thank you very much, and long live freedom. Damn it.
Long live freedom. Damn it. Liz, could this guy get any better? And Klaus Schwab, he must have been squirming in his seat.
Absolutely. Millet literally climbed into the belly of the beast just to implode.
I know to many it may sound ridiculous to suggest that the West has turned to socialism, but it's only ridiculous if you only limit yourself to the traditional economic definition of socialism, which says that it's an economic system where the state owns the means of production. This definition, in my view, should be updated in the light of current circumstances. Today, states don't need to directly control the means of production to control every aspect of the lives of individuals. With tools such as printing money, debt, subsidies, controlling the interest rate, price controls, and regulations to correct the so-called market failures, they can control the lives and fates of millions of individuals. This is how we come to the point where, by using different names or guises, a good deal of the generally accepted political offers in most Western countries are collectivist variants, whether they proclaim to be openly communists, fascists, Nazis, socialists, social democrats, national socialists, Democrat Christians, Christian Democrats, neo-Keynesians, progressive, populist, nationalists, or globalists. At bottom, there are no major differences. They all say that the state should steer all aspects of the lives of individuals. They all defend a model contrary to that one which led humanity to the most spectacular progress in its history.
I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Joe Biden can have a hard time getting his point across sometimes.
We brought Israelis and Palestinians together at a political level, and Aqua and as well as Shram. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. My younger sister used to be 3 years younger than me. Now she's 23 years younger. There's not a single solitary Biden man that is younger than any Biden woman.
But every once in a while, he tells us a perfect story without even trying. Yesterday, while pitching Bidenomics in South Carolina, he stopped by a fast food restaurant for a milkshake and some selfies. If you look over his shoulder, you can see the cost of a value meal, $7.69. Now, here's the thing. He went to the same chain 3 years ago, and the cost of that same value meal was $5.99. It's almost 30% more expensive now. And if that doesn't sum up Bidenomics, I don't know what does. Joe doesn't notice the price hike, but why would he? The average American does, and they're ready to let him know at the polls in November.
Another conflict presented by socialists is that of humans against nature, claiming that we human beings damage the planet, which should be protected at all costs, even going as far as advocating for population control mechanisms or the bloody abortion agenda. Unfortunately, these harmful ideas have taken a strong hold in our society. Neo-Marxists have managed to co-opt the common sense of the Western world, and this they have achieved by appropriating the media, culture, universities, and also international organizations. The latter case is the most serious one, probably, because these are institutions that have enormous influence on political and economic decisions of the countries that make up the multilateral organizations.
Remember when foreign intelligence agencies and our own teamed up to devise a nice little dossier in 2016? Who's to say they don't have another insurance policy coming down the pike? In the meantime, they're making the green energy industry too big to fail.
Madame Lagarde?
I'd love to follow up on what Christian is saying. I think the best Defense, if that's the way we want to look at it, is attack. Rally the investment that we badly need for the transition towards a greener economy. It will cost no less than 620 billion per year to actually move the green transition further into the hope of a clean energy environment and a serious reduction of our CO2 emission. And it will cost 120 billion per year as well to develop the digitalization that we need.
You heard her. Rally, attack, spend trillions of dollars now before